CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond.
Their wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and just government of men. We beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of the important trusts in this land. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this house assembled. Grant us that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner, to promote thy honor and glory, to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country, and of those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Please be seated. Thank you.
Communication from the Chair.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Honorable members, please, can we have one meeting? Thank you. Honorable members, I welcome you all to the second ordinary session of the National Assembly in the 2021 legislative year. Honorable members, as we begin the second ordinary session in 2021, we all pray to Allah, the Almighty, to continue to guide us through the session and beyond, that we may treat all matters that shall come under our deliberations effectively and efficiently. I wish to recognize and appreciate the tremendous efforts and commitment of all honorable members on their respective oversight committee works. I personally know that it's been quite hectic and a lot of work has been put in. Thank you very much. Similarly, I wish to extend our gratitude to the National Assembly Service for the support and guidance throughout the office. And special thanks also go to the Office of the Clerk and his staff. This has once more demonstrated our commitment and dedication to national duty as people's representatives. And I urge everybody, including myself, to continue the spirit of togetherness and strive for more to advance the life and livelihood of our electorates whom we represent. Honorable members, by way of update to this August Assembly, I wish to report that the following bills, having been passed by the National Assembly during the first ordinary session in the 2021 legislative year, have been assented to by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, on the 23rd of April 2021 as follows. 1. The Women's Amendment Bill 2021, the Civil Marriages Amendment Bill 2021, the Christian Marriages Amendment Bill 2021, and the Married Women's Property Amendment Bill 2021, together with the Matrimonial Causes Amendment Bill 2021. Honorable members, before we proceed, may I remind this August Assembly that the electronic voting system registration and bell notification system are still in use. Honorable members are kindly reminded to use the system to register and vote while seated at their desks. A bell system is also in place to to notify honorable members during voting and or for any other announcements. And on that note, I will once more urge and appeal to honorable members to once again take note of the relevant provisions of the Constitution and the standing orders of the National Assembly throughout the course of the session. And on that note, I thank everybody and welcome everybody here, strangers, the press, of course they are strangers as well, and everybody. I think this is going to be a very short sitting today for certain reasons, but we will see how it goes. So clerk, can we proceed, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Correction and approval of record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 1st April 2021.
Honorable members, the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, the 1st of April 2021 is before us for corrections and approval. Can any honorable member please move that this said record of votes and proceedings be considered and approved? Thank you. Yes, Abu Sumbala, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I welcome myself too, as you welcome me. I move that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 1st April 2001 to be considered and adopted.
2021.
Yeah, 2021, thank you.
Thank you. Any seconder? Yes, Funi Jaron.
Madam, thank you. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, the 1st of April, 2021 be approved. Any correction or observations from honorable members? We start with page 1 of the records, which I believe have already been circulated. So we can start with page 1. Any corrections on the cover page? Any observations? Please, can we concentrate and have one meeting, please? Thank you. Then on page 1, as the order paper, page 3, sorry, page 2, the attendance. We ensure that everybody is correctly captured, either being present or absent, so that we can correct the records. Yes, Opanyomi? Is it lower?
Upper.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my name is captured under the absent list whilst I was here on that particular day.
Table office, can you take note so that it can be corrected, reversed? Thank you. Anything else on page 2? No omissions? Page 3. Page 3. So you will correct Honorable Davos. Thank you. Page 4. Yes, Woolley is page 4.
Yes, thank you. Page 4, the last line on page 4, the ayes have it. Should change to the ayes had it, wherever it is matched. Thank you.
I am not with you. All I have on my records is the ayes have it.
Yes, we should change it to the ayes had it. It's in the past, hard past.
Always indicated the ayes had it. We'll check the records and see. Since we are reporting. Thank you. Any more on page 4? On page 4. Page 5. Page 5. Page 6. Six, 7. Yes.
Yes, page 7. Under the names, the paragraph under the names. At the expiry of the allotted time, Honorable Speaker concluded the deliberations on the matter of the day, and she thanked. We just removed the she and put thanked, and thanked everyone for their contribution. And the S on the contribution, we just removed that. It is made.
Caroline?
Yes, Madam Speaker, under the motion without notice, the bills, you see number 2, bills, criminal offences bill, they say health. I think it's not under health. Criminal procedure bill, health, criminal prevention and prohibition of torture bills. I think it's under human rights or what? Or it's not health. I think, yes, the correct committees, yes.
Copy and paste.
Yes.
You can paste it.
It will be corrected, I'm sure. They will look into that. Thank you for that correction. Very valid. Yes, Jara East. Sorry.
7. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. At the expiry of the allotted time, yes, it should be at the expiration of the allotted time, page 7, after the name, yes, at the expiration of the allotted time. Thank you.
Else on page 7? No. Proceed to page 8. Page 8. Page 9. Yes, Woolley is page.
Yes, page 9, the fourth paragraph, second line, where they say adjourned. It should just be to adjourn, not to adjourned. And then the next paragraph, last line, where they say without fear or favor or party affiliation. I believe we should maintain what the Constitution says, that is, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, rather than party affiliation. Thank you.
From page 9. Please, can we, you're reading from page 9. Yes, can you repeat your last observation?
My last observation was the 5th paragraph, the last line of the 5th paragraph.
Ah, yes.
Where it says without fear or favor or party affiliation. I'm suggesting instead of party affiliation, we put affection or ill will.
Affection or ill will.
Yeah.
The wordings of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Any more on page 9? No? We move over to page 10. Page 10. Any corrections? Yes. Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the adjournment debate, I spoke, but they missed out my name. Page 10. If I'm not mistaken, I was the first member to take the floor.
Any more corrections on page 10? No more observations? Thank you. Page 11. Page 11. Yanija, I see your tag.
Just an observation. I was checking for the reference here. I'm seeing here a motion to sit beyond 6 o'clock, understanding order 53.1. And if I am right, according to the standing orders, when there is adjournment debate, the business of that day should be completed. No need to raise a motion to sit beyond 6 and so on. If I am right, I was checking for the reference, but definitely I couldn't see it. I think that was not definitely necessary. Thank you.
Well, check your reference correctly and get in touch with the table office. So we will, if there is any need, it will be done. Otherwise, no. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Any more on 11, page 11? Page 12? Yes, Woolley is 12.
There's a continuation of the debates. It's only one debate that we are continuing. So it's debate, not debates.
Any more? No? Okay. Page 13 then. Yes, Woolley is.
Page 13, the first line says, Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Sources. The name is Resources. So they put Resources. Thank you.
Yes. Table office, just make sure that we have the correct title. Thank you.
On page 13, the health minister was also present on the day of the debate, but it's not indicated.
To confirm so that it will be included. Any more on page 13? No? Then the last page, which is 14. No? Thank you very much, honorable members, for all those observations, corrections. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, the 1st of April, 2021, be approved with amendments. You've captured yours. Yeah, but still, just check with table officer. Yes, and confirm with them. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. And thank you very much. Clerk, can we proceed?
Thank you. Laying of papers and reports. Report of the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters on Persons with Disability Bill 2019 by the Honorable Vice Chairperson of the Committee.
Thank you very much. Honorable members will recall that the motion for the second reading of the bill entitled Persons with Disability Bill 2020 was moved by the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice on Thursday, the 18th of June, 2020. The motion was seconded and debate on the general merits and principles of the bill ensued. Accordingly, thereafter, the bill stood referred to the Assembly Business Committee for committal. The ABC committed the said bill to the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters for further scrutiny and for the committee to report back to the plenary. The committee is today scheduled to table its report before the plenary here. And once the report is tabled, debated, and adopted, the next stage of the bill, which is the consideration stage, will be scheduled accordingly at an appointed date. May I now invite the Honorable Vice Chair of this committee, that is the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, to table the report of the committee. Honorable Vice Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Sorry, just a second. There's an yes.
Honorable Speaker, I am without a copy of the report that is about to be laid now. I am without a copy. No.
I think it was circulated much earlier. That's why sometimes the office of the clerk is very reluctant to circulate these reports early, because you have to duplicate it and it's at a cost. So it's okay, they have extra copies, because some people leave their copies at home. It's usually put in your home. No, it's okay, I think they have extra copies. It will be. You have what? These copies was, the report was circulated, but can we, please, Mr. Mendy, can you please allow us? Mr. Mendy, please, thank you. What I just want to say that if it is a fact that many honorable members don't have their copies with them, I've been made to understand that they are running extra copies. We can give 5-10 minutes so that everybody will have a copy, so that we go through the records. That's a proposal. Otherwise, we proceed with the tabling of the report by the Vice Chair. Lower, open your me.
Well, Madam Speaker, I think these reports were circulated to us earlier on, and then it was also put on the page. Members were sent a notice that we're going to have this. So I think when coming to Parliament, if I send a notice to you, you should take care of it. You should be well prepared.
We're all
so I have my copy here.
During the course of the tabling. So let's proceed. Yes, please. Vice Chair. No, I'm not taking any more observations. We will proceed, and then the copies will be made available as we go along. I have said that I have made a decision. Vice Chair, please, can you proceed? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you
for giving me the opportunity to lay this report, which is a very, very important report, which has been awaited for by different sectors of society because of its importance. Honorable Speaker, the members of the committee include your humble self, Honorable Mariam Jack Denton, Chairperson, Honorable Swaibu Toure, Vice Chair, Honorable Ndeye Yasin Seka, a very important member of the committee, Honorable Yakumba Jaite, Honorable Fatoumata Ndiaye, Honorable Madi M.K. Sise, Honorable Dembo K.M. Kamara, Honorable Bakari Kamara, Honorable Usman Toure, Honorable Omar Sise, Honorable Alaji S. Dabo, and Honorable Momodu Kamara. We also have our supporting staff, which includes Mr. Suleiman Jallo, Mr. Lamin Diba, and Tony F. Mendy. Honorable Speaker, we also have a lot of witnesses for this bill. And you can see their names. Honorable Fatou Kinte, who is the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare. Roy Bite from the same ministry. Geneva Jabi, Director from the same ministry. Alaji Sedi Khan, Director from the same ministry. We also have from the disabled organizations, Ru Havis, Acting Director, GFD, Omar Emen Kamara, Secretary General, GFD, Adam Assar, Treasurer, GFD, Mohammed Kurubali, Chairperson, GFD, and Sumana Sano, Secretary, GAPD, Babukar Ka, NYP, Lamin K. Fati, GAPD, that's the Physically Disabled Association, Alassana Jallo, GAPD, Yabo Kamara, Serakunda Women Association, Kumbasise, Serakunda Women Association, Yasin Baji, Serakunda Women Association, Mansour Diop, National Human Rights Council, Commission, Jarau Jabi, GFD, Dudu Lum, GFD, Lamin Dabo, APD, LRR, Cherno Sise, Start Now, Communication Officer, Joseph Mendy, GAA, Seni Kamara, DSW, Lamin D. Sonko, Sign Language Interpreter, Madi Jobate, Country Representative, GFD. These were our witnesses, during the scrutiny of this important bill. Honorable Speaker, the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee has devoted significant attention to the bill because of its relevance and necessity. Honorable members have also shown their full commitment and interest and acted swiftly in responding to the needs of persons with disabilities. The committee scrutinized each and every clause of the bill to ensure compliance with the 1997 Constitution, international laws, and best practices. During the consideration of this bill, the committee consulted most of the stakeholders, including the Gambia Federation of the Disabled. Furthermore, the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights has assisted the committee with a technical analysis for the bill, of which significant references were made. So we have both general observation and specific observations. Our general observations include 6. The committee observed that the bill complements Section 31 of the 1997 Constitution, which reads, 1. The right of the disabled and handicapped to respect and human dignity shall be recognized by the state and society. 2. Disabled persons shall be entitled to protection against exploitation and to protection against discrimination, in particular as regards access to health services, education, and employment. 3. In any judicial proceedings in which a disabled person is a party, the procedure shall take his or her condition into account. 7. Most of the provisions of the bill are progressive and provide adequate protection to persons with disabilities. Among those relevant clauses are the provisions dealing with establishment of national funds for persons with disabilities, obligation to provide social support to persons with disabilities, duties to safeguard persons with disabilities, prohibition of discrimination against persons with disabilities, and access to physical and public services to persons with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, 8, it was further observed, that there are many sections in the bill which made reference to schedules. However, those schedules are not attached to the bill, or were not attached to the bill. It is therefore recommended that the aforementioned schedule or schedules be attached. 9. In addition, the advisory committee, as used in the bill, was observed to be inadequate. The committee proposed it to be amended to advisory committee, advisory council. to ensure a proper and efficient advisory body for the welfare of persons with disabilities. The committee further recommended that the amendment be given effect in any clause or section where advisory committee is used. 10. It is also observed that the acronyms for persons with disabilities is not affixed immediately before act in the clause, which is necessary for the short reference to the bill. It is recommended that PWD, persons with disabilities, be used as the acronym for persons with disabilities. The short title of the bill now reads, "This act may be cited as the Persons with Disabilities PWD Act 2020 and shall come into force on such date as the minister may, by notice in the Gazette, appoint." As you can see, we were dealing with this in 2021 and 2020, and now we are in 2021, so we'll make further recommendation to change that date to 2021. Specific observations, Honorable Speaker. Proposal 1. I'm sorry, the proposals are many. Some of them are just typos, some of them are spellings, etc., etc. I will try to see, I don't know whether I should read everything, but I will try to find out the most important and just mention that since we all have the bill before us, don't you think? Yeah. So the interpretation section was scrutinized effectively, and some of the observations and recommendations of the committee on the said section are discussed below. The committee has made further attempt to redraft the provisions on which suggested amendments were made to ease the workload of the Assembly during the consideration stage. So the advisory committee, the way it was explained there was that the advisory committee means the advisory committee for persons with disabilities. We recommended that it be amended to advisory committee means the advisory council for persons with disabilities. So the change word there is council. Note, it is recommended that this amendment be given effect throughout. Wherever you see advisory council committee, it should be changed to advisory council. 2, affirmative action. The way it's put in the bill, there was a typo there. Instead of with, it says means policies and practices which favor persons with disabilities. We recommend that it be changed to affirmative action means policies and practices which favor persons with disabilities. 3, auxiliary aids and services include qualified readers, interpreters, and guides, tape text, audio, visual, and pictorial recording, braille equipment, large print and braille materials, tactile equipment, orthopedic appliance, and other devices and services that support persons with disabilities to participate effectively in all aspects of life. That was the original there. We recommend that it be amended to auxiliary aids and services. Note the differences. Include qualified readers, interpreters, and sign language is the change there. Sign language interpreters was missing. And guides, tape text, audio, visual, pictorial recording, braille equipment, large print and braille material, tactile equipment, orthopedic appliance, and other devices. Devices also is included now. It was not there before. Other devices and services that support persons with disabilities to participate effectively in all aspects of life. 4, civil society. You can see the definition there means, the only thing means a non-government actors. A non-government actors. The only change there in our amendment is non-government actors. We remove the A. It's non-government actors. 5, communication includes spoken and sign languages, display of text, braille, tactile, communication, large print, accessible multimedia, as well as written audio, plain and language, human reader and argumentative and alternative modes, means and formats of communication, including accessible information and communication technology. If you come to our amendment, what we changed there was plain and language should not be separated, as it is in the first one. It will be together. Plain language is one phrase. Plain language, not plain and language. 6, disability includes having long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. We propose that disability will now includes having physical, mental, intellectual, sensory, visual or hearing, it's a new thing there, visual or hearing impairments and conditions. Conditions too is a new thing, and conditions, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. 7, disabled people's organization means an association or a society formed by persons with disabilities registered under the relevant laws in order to promote and protect the rights, well-being and dignity of persons with disabilities. We recommend that the definition will now stand means an association or a society formed by persons with disabilities registered under the relevant laws in order to promote and protect the rights, well-being and dignity of persons with disabilities. So it's going to be, instead of disabled people's organization, we recommend that it is organization of persons with disabilities. That is the recommendation there. Discrimination 8 means affording different treatment to different persons attributable wholly or mainly to their respective descriptions by race, color, gender, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other. You can see social origin, property, they are together. Birth or other status whereby persons of one such description are subjected to disability or restrictions to which persons of another such description are not made subject, or are accorded privilege, privilege was missing, or advantages which are not accorded to persons of another such description. Our recommendation, Honorable Speaker, discrimination will now mean affording different treatment to different persons attributable wholly or mainly to their respective descriptions by race, color, gender, language. What was missing there was religion. That's the new thing there. Political and other opinion, national or social origin. Social origin was missing. What they have is social origin property. So it's social origin, property, birth or other status whereby persons of one such description are subjected to disability or restrictions to which persons of another such description are not made subject or are accorded privileges instead of privilege. It's privileges or advantages which are not accorded to persons of another such description. Honorable Speaker, 9, employment or employee. Employee means an individual who B has entered into any other contract under which 2, the other party is not a client or customer or of any profession, business or undertaking carried on by the individuals, or we reframe that and suggested that employee will now mean an individual who B has entered into any other contract under which 2, the other party is not a client or customer of any profession, business or undertaking carried on by the individual instead of individuals, or that's how it should be framed now. 10, inclusion. Big debate. Inclusion means the process whereby people or society value and respect diversity as part of life and thus minimizes barriers in order to accommodate persons with disabilities to participate in and contribute to that society. We recommend that it now mean the process whereby people or society value and respect diversity as part of life and thus eliminates barriers in order to accommodate persons with disabilities instead of persons with disabilities to participate in and contribute to that society. 11, inclusive school means a place where barriers have been removed to enable students with disabilities to learn and participate effectively within the general school system. We want to change that to mean inclusive school now means a place where barriers have been removed to enable students with disabilities to learn and participate effectively within the mainstream school system. the mainstream school system. Mainstream is a new thing there. 12, local government authority, as the meaning ascribed to it on the Local Government Act, a council established under this act. We want that to be amended to local government authority, has the meaning ascribed to it under the Local Government Act, CAP 3301, which is the addition, so that people will go straight to the Local Government Act and get it. 13, minister means the minister responsible for women, children, and social welfare. That's how it was put. We want that to be amended to minister means the minister responsible for gender, children, and social welfare. 14, person with a disability means a person with a physical, intellectual, sensory, or mental impairment and whose functional capacity is limited by encountering attitudinal, environmental, and institutional barriers. Be amended to person with a disability means a person with a physical, intellectual, sensory, mental, visual or hearing was missing there, impairment and conditions whose functional capacity is limited by encountering attitudinal, environmental, and institutional barriers. That's the recommendation. 15, Honorable Speaker, reasonable changes means necessary and appropriate adjustments offered in a manner that does not impose a disproportionate burden where needed in a particular case to ensure persons with disabilities enjoy or exercise on an equal basis with others all human rights and fundamental freedoms. Others all human rights, that's where the change is to. So our recommendation is others will stand on its own and all human rights and fundamental freedoms will stand on their own. 16, rehabilitation means combined efforts in the domain of health, education, vocation training, psychology, public awareness, and work physiology, physiology. I think we want to say physiology. Work including community-based rehabilitation intended to raise the functional level of a person with disability so as to enable him or her to take part in the normal life of the community. Be amended to means combined efforts in a domain of health, education, vocational is the change there, vocational training, psychology, public awareness, and work including community-based rehabilitation intended to raise the functional level of a person with disability so as to enable him or her take part in the normal life of the community, Honorable Speaker, Proposal 17 or Observation 17, relative in the bill, the meaning given to it is that a person who is related to a person with disability by blood, marriage, or adoption. That's what was there. We recommended that the meaning be changed to a person who is related to a person with disability by blood, marriage, adoption, guardianship, or kinship, to broaden the scope. 18, it is further recommended that tactile and albinism be defined in the Interpretation Act. That was missing in the Interpretation Act. Proposal 2, Section 3.1 of the bill reads, the disability coding provided in the first schedule shall determine. Our observation is that the committee observed that there is no schedule attached to the bill. The recommendation is that a schedule be attached to complement the aforementioned section. Proposal 2, Section 4A of the 4A reads, of the bill reads, the principles of this act are to promote A, respect for human dignity, individual freedom to make individual choices, and the independence of persons with disabilities. Our observation is that the subject principles is in the plural form. Thus, freedom should also be pluralized. So where we put freedoms there. Recommendation. It is recommended that the section be redrafted to capture the plural form of freedom. Section 4A now reads. That's why we put freedom. You can see it. We just add freedom there. Section 5.1A reads, and G reads, the Advisory Council shall work with the Ministry to ensure and promote the realization of all rights and freedom of persons with disabilities without discrimination, and shall, in that respect, A, undertake measures effectively comply with the rights of persons with disabilities as provided for under this Act, and international, regional, and sub-regional conventions on the rights of persons with disabilities. E, collaboration with relevant institutions to undertake and promote research in relation to development, availability, and use of. G, promote the training of professionals and staff who are working with persons with disabilities on their right and the rights of persons with disabilities as recognized in the Act, so as to provide better assistance and services guaranteed by those rights. So our observation was that the committee observed grammatical errors and absence of subject-verb agreements. So our recommendation is that Section 5 be redrafted to reflect the corrections made on those errors. The section now reads. So that's the measures to effectively comply, collaborate instead of collaborates, and their rights instead of right has to be added to the rights. Those are the corrections that we have. Proposal 7AC, Roman 3 figure and D reads. The advisory committee shall, in collaboration with civil society and other actors, take appropriate measures to A, raise public awareness regarding the potential contributions. Potential is comma, contributions comma, etc. And rights of persons with disabilities, and to promote their rights and dignity. C, promote awareness of the abilities, talents, and contributions of persons with disabilities in order to enhance the level of awareness in society about persons with disabilities through initiating and maintaining effective public awareness campaigns designed to Roman 3, promoting recognition of the skills, merits, abilities, and contributions of persons with disabilities in the working place and the labor market, D, foster at all levels of the education system, including children of early age, an attitude of respect for the rights of persons with disabilities. C, encourage all organs of the media to portray persons with disabilities in a manner consistent with this bill and other legal instruments, supra. So our observation is that the committee observed that S is not added to potential, so it should be potentials under clause 7A. Working under section 7C, Roman 3, should instead just be workplace. Children of early age be amended to early childhood development under section 7D, which is considered to be the best practice in relation to children with disabilities. Finally, the word bill be amended to an act under 7D. Recommendation, the committee recommends that the following proposals be incorporated in the bill, section 7, with the proposed amendments list. The advisory committee shall, in collaboration with civil society and other actors, take appropriate measures to raise public awareness regarding the potentials, contributions, and rights of persons with disabilities and to promote their rights and dignity. C, promote awareness of disabilities, talents, and contributions of persons with disabilities in order to enhance the level of awareness in society about persons with disabilities through initiating and maintaining effective public awareness campaigns designed to 3, promoting recognition of the skills, merits, abilities, and contributions of persons with disabilities in the workplace and the labor market. D, foster at all levels of the education system, including early childhood development, instead of, early childhood ECD, an attitude of respect for the rights of persons with disabilities. CE, encourage all organs of the media to portray persons with disabilities in a manner consistent with this act, instead of bill, and other legal instruments, supra. O, proposal 6, section 8(2) and 3 of the bill reads. 2, the members of the advisory committee, other than ex-officio members, shall be appointed by the president on the recommendation of the minister and the Public Service Commission. 3, the director shall, in charge of the day-to-day affairs, shall be in charge of the day-to-day affairs of the advisory committee and head of the disability unit. Observation, it is observed that committee should be amended to council for the reason that council is more reliable, powerful, and authoritative than a committee, in our opinion, in governance and administrative matters. It is also observed that on the recommendation of the minister, be submitted in consultation with the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, GFD, under section 8(2), the committee is of the belief that the GFD is in the better position to advise the president as to the fit and proper person to represent them and their interests. It is further observed that hyphen be inserted between day to day. instead of the TO. Recommendation is recommended that the proposed amendments stand part of the bill, section 8, 2, and 3, reflecting the amendments that read, the members of the advisory council, other than ex-officio members, shall be appointed by the president in consultation.
Can I observe?
Sorry?
Please. Yes, observation. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. I want the mover, once you read the proposals, no need to reread again entire section of the recommendation. Just refer us to relevant amendment or changes made to save time. Thank you.
I observed that, especially dealing with the big paragraphs, the large paragraphs, you can just refer to, like, for instance, you want, I had captured
I think you observed that I tried to do that. But
did you get him?
I don't know how satisfied you will be. Okay.
Like for instance, on the 8, if you go to your page 6.
Yeah. As you can see, it's advisory committee.
Sorry. Let me just look at your page 6. On the 8, discrimination. You've read that whole paragraph. And then the proposals, the proposed amendments also. The only things that you are changing here or proposing an amendment to is social origin property. So what you can do is we amended to discrimination, religion, social origin, and privileges as contained in the paragraph. Instead of reading the whole 2 paragraphs, they're basically the same except for those 3 words. Just to save time. And I'm sure honorable members will go back.
I made that suggestion before, but no reaction. I said I made that suggestion before I start, but there was no reaction. Okay. Noted. We can go now. Okay, I think we are at proposal 7. Section 10, 1, C, D, and H. What highlighted was there are registers, monitors in D and in H bill. So our observation is register should be changed to register instead of registers. It's one register. And monitors should be changed to monitors. And yes, bill should be capital B. And the other change is the act. That's the recommendation there. If we can follow it that way, huh? That's fine. All right. Then proposal 8, section 11.1.1L and section 11.4 of the bill reads, the advisory council is composed of 1, a representative from the office of the ombudsman. L, a representative from the Association of Non-Government Organizations. 4, the highlighted word there is purposes, which is changed. So it is observed that representative from the ombudsman be changed to representative from the Ministry of Health instead of from the ombudsman. That's our recommendation. And from the non-government associations be amended to a representative from the civil society organization instead of organization. So the recommendation is Ministry of Health and civil society organizations. Yes, and then we can go to proposal 9. As you can see, the highlighted word there is determined by the person. The advisory council shall meet at least once every 3 months at such time and place determined by the person. 2, the quorum at the meeting shall be 2/3 of the members of the advisory council. So our observation is before determined to ensure grammatical flow in section 3.1 and a hyphen be placed. That is our recommendation. So it will be 2/3 in section 13 and 2 instead of 2/3. Section 13.1 and 2 of the bill reads, the advisory council shall meet at least once every 3 months at such time and place as determined by the chairperson. The quorum at the meeting shall be 2/3 of the members of the advisory council. Proposal 10. You can see in F, we made a highlight there of bill. And in G, we made a highlight of increase of persons with disabilities. And in H, we made a highlight of the elections. And I, what is highlighted there is registers. And I think this is L, or 1, is monitoring and evaluation of this act. Yes, and in O, you will see the highlight of forthwith. And P is hinder. And 2 is, yes, welfare and persons with disabilities. And F is prevention of discrimination against persons with disability resulting or against from disability. So those are the corrections we've done there in our observation. So it's recommended that and should be changed to off under section 13(2)(b), and provision of section 15(f) be substituted with elimination of all forms of discrimination against persons with disability. The way it's framed is kind of jumbled. So that's the recommendation, to do those recommendations. Yes. The Advisory Council, C, shall participate in the monitoring of all facilities and programs designed to serve persons with disabilities and advise accordingly. And F, advise on preparation of code of conduct for effective implementation of relevant provisions of this act instead of bill. So those are the corrections: electoral monitoring, evaluation, and implementation. So we go to proposal 11. On the proposal 11, that's a tough area. Section 16(1)(2) of the bill reads, there shall be a committee. We said now we changed committee to council. Or there shall be a committee in every village. Sorry, that is maintained. In every village or ward, a committee, area council committee, region committee, municipal committee, and city council committee. The composition, functions, and proceedings of the committees shall be prescribed in the 3rd and 4th schedules to this act. We recommend that they are attached, you remember. Observation is there, and the recommendation is that there shall be a committee in every village, in every ward, in every district, every area council, every region, every municipality, and every city council to separate all the areas. That is our recommendation in that area. Proposal 12. 17(1)(a) of the bill reads, the sources of funds for the committee include monies to be appropriated by the National Assembly, or monies to appropriate by the National Assembly. That's the way they put it. Our observation is it should be observed that D should be added to appropriate, to make it appropriated. That's the recommendation there. Proposal 13 on page 19. Section 18(2)(a) and D of the bill reads, the sources of the fund for the fund. The sources of fund for the fund include fees or any sum that may become payable to the fund in the discharge of its functions under this bill. Any other source legally acquired. So you can see the observations there. Committee observed the bill be amended to act on the section 18. Sources, instead of source, it is sources. And for, those are the additions. And of is also in the clause of 18(3)(c). And Article D is also added to the objectives. Yes. Recommendation, that's the recommendation there. Yeah. Proposal 14. It says the Directorate of Social Welfare shall keep proper records and books of accounts in its income and expenditures in relation to its operations in a form approved by the Auditor General. The Advisory Council, what we have added there is the immediately preceding financial year. And the observation is Directorate would now be on the 19(1) of the bill be amended to Director instead of Directorate. And the word immediately in section 19(3) be deleted to ensure clarity. We remove the immediately there. That's the recommendation. So now instead of Directorate, it's Director. Proposal, and then the Advisory Council, what we add there is the preceding financial year. At the end of the preceding financial year. That's when they should submit their accounts to the Council. Of the Council. Proposal 15, 21(1) and 2 of the bill reads, you can see the highlighted word there is integrated. And Advisory Committee is also highlighted because we want committee to be there. So integrated and committee is changed there. So the recommendation is, yes, The committee recommends for the assistance to be extended to include state institutions and the organization of and for persons with disabilities. The word integrated be amended to include, included, and the second integrated under section 21(2) be amended to mainstreamed into. It is further observed that the word her should be inserted before place in the text. So as you see the recommendation, that's what we have put together and highlighted them. Proposal 16, the highlighted word there is give directions. And our observation is it should be gives. So the recommendation is to simply correct that typo. Proposal 17 reads, the local government authority through a social welfare officer shall provide counseling to parents, guardians, relatives, and persons with disabilities for the purpose of reducing or removing the degree of stigma among them. Stigma among them was the debate there. So we observe that the phrase reducing or removing the degree of stigma among them be amended to eradicating stigma. Eradicating stigma. So that's the recommendation, to eradicate stigma instead of reducing stigma. Proposal 18, as you can see, interest, in the phrase, that's what is highlighted. Observation is interest. Recommendation is to the word of be placed immediately after interest, the clause with the proposed amendment, so that it reads properly, the reading flows. That's the proposal there. The decision shall be made by that officer in the best interest of the person with disabilities. Section 27(5) of the bill reads, the highlighted word there under observation is on the register, cause tautology in the clause. The recommendation is or not be added to the end of the clause and the phrase on the register be deleted. The clause with the proposed amendment reads, a person with a disability shall decide whether to be registered or not. That is the addition there. Proposal 20, as you can see in the original text, next of kin has given free and informed consent, is what is highlighted. And in E, empower thus meant of persons is highlighted. Our observation is next of kin and guardian, which includes next of kin under section 28(4)E. It is proposed that empowerment be amended to the full word empowerment. That's just a typo. And the word access of be amended to access to. Those are simple corrections. Yes, and that's our recommendation, to do it just that. Proposal 21, section 30E of the bill reads, the government shall promote the prevention of disability through E, the strengthening and implementation of road safely policies to minimize road accidents. If you don't observe it, you will think that it's safety. So our observation is just to correct, instead of safely, to safety. That's the recommendation there. Proposal 22, the highlighted word there is on or above the age of 16 years in order to render them fit for employment or work. Those are the highlighted work there. You can see the observation, they are highlighted again. And the observation is that misuse of propositions in the clause. It is proposed that on be amended to at, and the word or immediately after employment be amended to to, and the phrase on their own be substituted with independently. So that's the recommendation. So if you read the full text, you will see the corrections there. The minister shall, in consultation with the advisory council, make regulations prescribing vocational rehabilitation courses for persons with disabilities at or above the age of 16 years in order to render them fit for employment to work independently and for making use of vocational training courses. That's the recommendation. Proposal 23. The highlighted word is Braille, suitable for students with special disability needs, which is also highlighted. And that is our observation there. And our recommendation is to make it read the provision of assistive services during examinations, including giving extra time or papers in Braille or any suitable format for students with special needs. That's the recommended sentence there. Proposal 24. Section 34 of the bill reads, what is highlighted there is persons. They say a persons. That's simply correction. Instead of a person, a person. And that is the recommendation, to make it a person instead of a persons. Just the grammar. Proposal, and then there is also another thing there, that is deny, which is an additional, or deny them educational services on the grounds of their disability. Proposal 25, D, they will be afforded the opportunities to go to regular schools. Regular is highlighted. And 4, and passing, who owns, is highlighted. So our observation is regular school be amended to mainstream school, which is the modern and suitable word. In addition, the words and passing be amended to a passing. Proposal 26. You can see the section was section 35(3). An employer shall be deemed to have contravened section 35(3) unless he or she can prove to the satisfaction of the minister and the advisory council that every employer. And C, every year submit to the executive secretary to an annual report. So our observation is that instead of executive secretary, it should be the director. We should change director to executive secretary. That's our recommendation there. Yeah. Proposal 27. In G, you can see the highlighted word decan, proof. And 4, and liable. So the recommendation is that proposed amendment form part of the bill section 38 with the amendments reads. Those are the amendments. So it will read G, dismissing or terminating the services of a qualified employee with a disability on grounds of his or her disability unless the employer can prove that he or she affects the overall performance and reputation of business and that the employer has made every effort to accommodate the person with a disability with no improvement. And 4, and is separated now. That's just the typo. Proposal 28. The observation is that the word career is not suitably used. Thus, it is recommended for it to be amended to career. And then, yes, that's the recommendation there. 41, you can see the highlighted word is on ground that, and it's recommended that it should be on the grounds that the employees. Yes, section 44(1) also have some highlighted barrier-free and disability-friendly environment to enable to them have. So those are the English that is corrected there. 3, every public, the word practical is highlighted there, and in 5, of public body is also highlighted. So the recommendation is to do those corrections. So it's recommended that persons with disabilities shall be entitled to a barrier-free, that is a dash between them, and disability-friendly environment to enable them have access to public premises. And 3, every public or private body shall comply with this section to such extent as is practicable instead of practical. And of a public body, the head of a public body shall, as far as practicable, and so the whole or part of the facility to which the public has access is also accessible to persons with disability. Yes, 48. Our observation highlighted disability, comfort of, and the Article D. So it is recommended that the proposed amendments stand part of the bill. Those are some of the corrections, typos. Comfort of persons with disabilities. 49(2) of the bill. The highlighted word on our observation is Gambia Federation for the Disabled and any other person be inserted in the clause to enable wider consultation. So the recommendation is proposed amendment stand part of the bill, section 49, with the proposed amendments. So it will read, Gambia Federation of the Disabled and any other person as it may consider appropriate. Proposal 33, that is section 51, highlighted what there is to which performs and performs or allocates of funds. Allocates of funds also is highlighted. Yes, so it is recommended that to which performs be amended to performance of, and the word allocates be amended to allocation of. Gambia Federation for the Disabled be part of those to be consulted before the publication of sectoral plan, and for it to replace the phrase appropriate representatives of persons with disabilities. So that's the recommendation, to make it short. Proposal 34, section 51(1) of the bill reads, the executive secretary may on his or her own motion aggrieved person. So aggrieved is highlighted. Our observation is the aggrieved. Director also is our, instead of secretary general, instead of executive secretary, it should be the director. So that's our recommendation. Director on his own, or the director on his or her own motion, and any aggrieved person or his or her legal representative may lodge a complaint relating to. So that's the proposal there, to stand part of the bill. Section 54 of the bill reads, as you can see, requirement is highlighted, and our recommendation is that the proposed amendment stand part of the bill, section 54 of the bill. Yes, to add S to the requirements to have a permit. Proposal 38, organization, 36. Organization is highlighted in the first, in 2, and in 2.1, in use of the media is also highlighted. In 5, of the persons with disabilities, and introduction, government and introduction of the minimum quota at the National Assembly is highlighted. Disabilities of the persons with disabilities, and council may petition the courts of law or the ombudsman for redress is also highlighted. So our observation is organization should take S. Those are the typos. It says, so it's recommended that the proposed amendments stand part of the bill with the amendments, with the recommendations. And you can see all the changes are there. And in 7, a person aggrieved by a decision of the advisory council may file a petition to the courts of law or the National Human Rights Commission for redress. Where a person with a disability is a party to any judicial proceedings, the adjudicating body shall take into account the physical and mental conditions of the person with disability. Proposal 37, as you can see, enables or facilitates persons with disabilities highlighted. A person shall not exclude any person is highlighted. Observation, enables and facilitates immediately after which. So those, we are just recommending that we change enable to enables and facilitate. Yeah, no, it's observed the words enables and facilitates immediately after which under section 57(1) should not take S and phrase. So a person shall not exclude any person, be amended to no person or authority shall exclude any person under section 57(2). So that's the recommendation. The provider of the service shall provide auxiliary technical aids or services which enable or facilitate persons with disabilities. So that's the recommendation now, to phrase it like that. No person or authority shall exclude. That's the recommendation. Proposal 38, section 58(3)(c) reads, you can see the highlights. To place for cultural performance is highlighted, and our recommendation is to phrase it in such a way to enjoy access to places, for cultural performances or services, including theaters, museums, cinemas, libraries, and tourism services. Proposal 39, section 61(1) of the bill reads, you can see we highlight freedom. In our observation, freedom is highlight recommendation. Instead of freedom, it should be freedoms, as in the Constitution. Proposal 40, prohibit, the government prohibit is highlighted. Government and prohibit is in, shall is also highlighted in our observation. So the recommendation is, it should read, the government shall prohibit and criminalize any form of abuse and harmful practices targeted at persons with disabilities. That is the recommendation there, the key observation there. Proposal 41, section 71B. B, you can see discriminate against persons. Discriminate is highlighted. Object 2, a lawful order or obstruct is also highlighted. Premise is also highlighted instead of premises. And in 2, a person who knowingly aids another person in committing an offense. Aids and person is highlighted. So those are the observations there. And the recommendation is to a person who discriminates, instead of discriminate, we should add S there. For whatever reasons, S should be on that. Objects, obstructs, premises, these are typos or grammatical errors. Aids, abates, cancels, etc. That's the recommendation to do those to stand part of the bill. Section 71, intervention assessment is highlighted. So our observation there is intervention and assessment. Recommendation is that the proposed amendment stands part of the bill. The minister may, after consultation with the advisory committee, now advisory council, by statutory instrument, make regulations prescribing B, early detection, intervention, they should stand on their own, assessment and treatment of disability. That's our recommendation. Proposal 43, it is proposed that on the objects and reasons, the following amendments be made. The word difference on the paragraph C should have differences. The amendment now reads, the objectives of the Act are C, to encourage the people and all sectors of government and community recognize, respect and accept differences and disability as part of humanity and human diversity. Conclusion, Honorable Speaker. Something is.
I think it's a system, maybe.
Yeah. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, after a long deliberation and consideration of the Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020, we recommend 2021 now when we come to consideration. The Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee recommends the bill with amendments. The honorable members of the committee have made all efforts to see that there is no delay for the presentation of this report to the plenary. In addition, significant efforts were also made by the Office of the Clerk, and particularly the legal and research departments, to ensure regular meetings of the committee and the preparation of this magnanimous report. On this note, Honorable Speaker, the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee hereby presents its report of its findings on the Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020. And on that note, I thank Honorable Speaker as chair of this very important committee, and members of the committee, and all our witnesses and our staff who work very tirelessly to ensure that this bill comes. We would have laid this report in the last session, but because of some reason, I think the minister was indisposed, so we could not lay it. But our objective was to fast-track this thing to ensure that no delay is caused, because there is pushing and pulling all over the country over this important bill. On that note, I thank you very much and all the members for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chair of the committee. Seconder, I think it was Cantora that caught my eye first. I thought he wanted to make an observation.
No, thank you very much. I just want to thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I want to add my voice to the mover of the motion. I think this Parliament will be surely remembered for this giant effort that we're about to undertake in this Assembly. However, I would also use the opportunity to thank your leadership and the chairperson of the committee for actually making it possible for people living with disability to also have a sense of belonging in the society. This is what a true democratic society should really behave. that sense of belonging and sense of inclusiveness in the society.
I just want to make observation. He did not second the motion and went on debating.
All right, so thank you so much. I rise to second the motion.
I thought he was just commending.
I rise to second the motion.
No, but you should technically second the motion before you proceed. Thank you. Thank you for that observation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion. Equally, as alluded in the first intervention, that I recognize the tremendous effort rendered by this committee, to come out with such tedious exercise. However, this is a true meaning of democratic society. We have to have this sense of love and affection for each other to create a society whereby all inclusiveness is actually catered for. So it's a dream come true, not especially for the member, as has been crying for this particular day, that this assembly, under her watch, sees that this bill is passed. I just have some few observations to make, probably during the committee stage. I don't know whether is it allowed in drafting to draft in the past tense. There are some keywords that are drafted in the past, like where you said determined by the minister, said determined by the minister. I don't know their technical drafting skill. I'm not a draft person, but of course, when the legal teams are here, they will guide us through whether is it allowed to put a draft text to legislate in the past tense as well, and other appropriate funds. Sometimes there's appropriated funds. The original text reads appropriates fund by the National Assembly, but it's been changed to appropriated fund by the National Assembly. So there are series of that. So when we get to committee stage, of course, we'll see, so that we can, guided by the legal mind, is allowed to do such amendments. Without taking much time of the Assembly, I want to thank so much, and I beg to take my seat. Thanks so much.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that this Honorable Assembly do consider the report of the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters on Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So now the ayes have it. Now, any honorable member who wishes to take part in the debate may do so now. May I begin by calling the honorable member for Banjul North. We had already taken down I have Banjul North, Tumana, Busumbala, Jara East, Nyanija. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to first draw the attention of the Assembly to Standing Order 69. Standing Order 69 states, any standing or special select committee to which a bill is committed shall not discuss the principles of the bill but only its details. 2, a committee to which a bill is committed shall consider and take evidence on the provisions of the bill and reports its opinion thereon to the Assembly. 3, any such committee shall have power to recommend amendments therein as it thinks fit, provided that the amendments, including new clauses and new schedules, are relevant to the subject matter of the bill. But if any such amendments are not within the long title of the bill, it shall recommend that the long title be amended accordingly and shall report the same to the Assembly. 4, a report made to the Assembly under paragraph 2 shall A, list the witnesses called to give evidence on the bill, summarize the written evidence received, oral evidence taken, and the committee's deliberations thereon. B, record the opinion of the committee on each clause and schedule of the bill. together with any amendment recommended thereto, presented in the order in which they stand in the bill. And C, include the relevant record of minutes of proceedings of the committee on the bill. This is the premise of my intervention. If you look at the report, although efforts have been made by the committee for a long period of time considering the bill, but the report fails to go by the requirements of Standing Order 69. Yes, the witnesses engaged are listed, but what we were expecting is that it appears as if it is the committee that has decided. It is the opinion of the committee. And what the Standing Order is saying is that evidence has to come from witnesses, those that are listed down. What have they said? And they have to deal with each of the sections. That is what it is saying. But in the report, we have seen that some sections have been jumped and that we have not been informed what the witnesses have said on each of the sections and what the committee concluded on what they have said, the evidence given. Because we want ownership, that's the essence. It has to come from the stakeholders. The committee can disagree and state its position, but what did the stakeholders say on each of the sections? That is what is missing. And this is fundamental. And as I said, they have to dissect it, section by section. But as I said, it appears that it was an exercise on grammatical presentation. They have done very well on that. But what is the position of the stakeholders? And I've also seen the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, they're also missing as one of the stakeholders. So I believe this is very fundamental. I don't know what is going to be the position of the plenary, although it has taken too long for this bill to come. We have been clamoring for it to come. It is dealing with the welfare and the rights of an important segment of society, people with disabilities. They matter. They should be protected by law. And that is the objective, precisely, that is the objective of this bill. We want a law that protects people with disability. At the moment, you have people with disability. There are people who have all the abilities, but they can be in such a condition. So this is a law for everybody, more so those who are in the condition. So it is a law that is needed. But we also must go by procedure. We want to know what GFD's position is on each of the sections, what the other stakeholders' positions are on each of the sections. All right, that said, I want to come to the second limb of my intervention, and that is, I want to refer the plenary to Standing Order 107. Initially, this bill was committed, as far as I'm concerned, wrongfully to one committee, Committee on Human Rights. Of course, the bill is basically about human rights, but it's also talking about disability. At some point, the challenge was recognized and rectified by this plenary. This plenary eventually committed the bill to two committees. That is the Committee on Human Rights and the Committee on Disability.
But for the information of the plenary, the Select Committee on Disability had not been consulted. When it was this National Assembly that, through ABC, it was ABC that came and presented and recommended, in fact, moved a motion that the bill be committed to two committees. And Standing Order 107 is talking about what should be done if a bill is committed to a joint committee. This was not followed. And I just don't want this to be a precedent. The plenary has overriding powers. If the plenary decides, no committee can undo. And the plenary decided. I am saying this basically not because I am a member of the Committee on Disability, but because this is a body of procedures. And we must abide by procedures. So I wanted to highlight these two issues before the plenary. And as I said, there is no interest for me by virtue of being a member of that committee, but because I want the committee, the plenary, to follow procedures. It had decided, it was not followed. On that note, I would suggest that we revisit. As I highlighted, this is long overdue, but we need the facts. We need the facts. What is the position of the players, the other stakeholders? That is very important to be highlighted in any report that is presented here. Thank you very much.
I'm sure the Vice Chairperson has taken note of your observations, and at the end of the interventions, we'll all take a collective decision and see what can be done. We'll also revert back to the table office for them to check the Hansard what was the decision of the plenary on the referral to the different committees so that we can have the correct record of it all. Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Tumana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And I thank Almighty God to witness this day. The report of the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters on Persons with Disabilities, Bill 2021. Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I wanted to seize this opportunity to really thank the committee for the good job that they have done for the people of this country, most especially the people living with disabilities. So thank you, the chairperson and the entire committee for your wonderful job. And I will not also do justice if I did not also recognize the support that the staff of this House rendered to the committee during the entire process of dealing with this bill. Thank you, the support staff of this Parliament, for the good job that you have also done. And again, Honorable Speaker, we have the list of witnesses that we are also called to come and testify or to witness the entire scrutiny of the bill. We wanted to say thanks to all those that attended the scrutiny of this bill for the time, the energy, and the resource that you have contributed in this bill. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to ask a question, but then it was asked by the previous speaker. I was with the thinking that, I will see the list of stakeholders where you also captured the health committee, but I think that might be an oversight. Yeah, but then that's something that we can really look into maybe the next time. Honorable Speaker, this bill is really long overdue, but it is better late than never. I am so much happy that, this bill today is being tabled in this parliament, and it has to do with the people living with disability in this country. Today, I am with my hands and with my legs and whatsoever, but tomorrow I might be a victim of disability. So passing this law, it's like I am not only passing it for people with disability, but myself as well. Because in life, you always expect unexpected. So I am happy to be part of the history that we are making in this parliament. And the other thing is that, Honorable Speaker, we've been saying this here, year in, year out, or day in, day out, that, we don't just make laws just for the sake of making them, but we make laws so that, those laws can be implemented. They can be enforced so that, the purpose of making that law will be met. But let us not just make this law, and every day it is not being enforced. The essence of making that law, honestly, would not really make any sense. So for that be the case, Honorable Speaker, I will take my seat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Busumbala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. However, I want to thank the committee for reporting back to the plenary, going over the exercise that we gave them. Refer this bill to the ABC, which was committed to human rights, and they've done something to report back to the plenary. Honorable Speaker, in the presentation, I have some observations, specifically for the presentation, and also a general observation and a point of noting for the plenary. First, in the witness column, because it's a bill, it's law, and none of us are experts in drafting. So I was having the question why the Ministry of Justice is not consulted. If they suggest any amendment, what implication does it have in the drafting of the law? Because law has its own way of doing it. That's why when you have issues, you hire a lawyer to be able to guide you in the process. So in their witness column, the Minister of Justice or a draft person to help them, to guide them through of all the amendments that they want to do, whether it's in line with the drafting principles. But also, I've been informed by my colleague that some of the witnesses that are listed here, they are not the actual people. Like for number 3, Jenaba Jabi is not Jenaba Jabi, but Jakomba. Jakomba Jabi. That is noted to me. And then Alhaji Sedikan is not Alhaji, but Alhaji F. Sedikan, not the director, but the deputy director. This colleague put for me to raise it up that those are the real people. Apart from my question about the Minister of Justice to guide them in the legal process of drafting, probably any amendment that they have, what implication does it have? That was not put there. But again, the presenter made, at this last point, says they were trying to rush to make sure that they lay the bill, they report to the plenary. Yes, the bill is long overdue. We need the bill, for this vulnerable section of the family, of the society. But also, we want the due process to be done not in rush. So that's why, because they are in rush, I believe this section of the witness are not invited. And again, the point noted by my colleague, according to the standing order, the statement of the witness should be summarized. For the committee, for the plenary to know this is what the witness think and say about this section. but they didn't say. They have mentioned that they have list of witnesses, but what actually do they feel about this section is not there, so they just summarize and bring it to us. So it seems that it's from them. So if they want to go through the provision of the standing orders, we need to see some of the feelings of the witness towards that one. Honorable Speaker, I want to put something that's for general. You see, let us try to do our job, because anything that we do in the presentation of bill in the plenary is two-way. It's either the executive bring the bill to the parliament, or members bring private member bill or committee bill. So most of the bills that we go through here in the plenary are brought by the executive. I want to put it to the assembly because an incident has happened, a question has been raised to me, which I feel like we should be mindful. Let us not just be seen as tools by the executive, that they want to have a good name, that, for example, disability bill, is an outcry. The whole world wants to see that Gambia is trying to introduce the disability bill. So when they come to us, we should have this question, whether they really meant to implement that law. Yes, that's the question. Whether do they have the required institutional preparedness to introduce that, to implement that law? Because if we ask ourselves, since 2017, so many bills have been passed here. But what is the fate of those bills? We don't know. Some bills are passed, they are lying on the tables. When you go to the institution, they say no funding. So you see, I want to put this to the plenary. Let us carry this along. We will not just be here just to say, okay, good name for the executive or good name for the National Assembly. Yes, they have passed the disability bill, but in 2-3 years' time, nothing to be said about disability bill because the institution was not prepared to implement it. So we should have these questions along. Are they prepared? Both the institutional, the personnel, and the funding. If they are not, we need to. And the process it took. How long would it be ratified? Then assented, and then the process starts. These are questions we need to. Because
Honourable Member, I appreciate your observations.
Very well.
Yeah, no.
I said very well.
I listened to you, so I think it's all. No, I said I listened to you. Can you put your mic down so that you'll hear me? Good. What I'm saying is I listened to you, and I will continue listening to you. But equally so, if I want to have you to hear me, I think it's also important that you allow me. All I want to say is that I appreciate your concerns raised and the issues that you have raised. But as far as the procedures are concerned, vis-à-vis our standing orders, we are to debate the report. I stand to be corrected, but if I want to get you right, you're going general in terms of how we pass laws, whether it is for the good of society or whether it's being implemented here and there. I'm not saying that those are exclusive of this bill. Of course, this is part of it. But as of now, since we're dealing with this bill, which is the People's with Disability Bill, can we just try to bring it? Of course, I'm sure the chairperson, the vice chair, has taken note of all that you have said and probably will be said during the course of the debates. But just for us not to go outside the parameters of the tabling of the report. That's all I just want to draw your attention to. So you can...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. If you listen to my preamble before I start, I said I have my specific observation about the report, but again, I have a general observation which I want to put into the plenary. I think when doing that, the plenary has accepted my general observation. This is the general observation I want to do. Specific about report, if I can have it from the plenary, I want us to not to accept this report because very key fundamental aspect of the process is missing. The legal aspect, the owners of the bill, are they consulted after all this finding? Are they consulted? The witness statement, the witness summary, are all not there. And I have said, I think I have seen the mover trying to raise his tag. Whether I misquoted him, but he said something that they endeavor to make sure that they led the report here. So I want to define that because they were trying to make sure that, to meet this June session to read the report, because so many committees don't read. That's what I was just trying to connect. We want the bill, yes, but we want due process to be followed. We want all the sector, general sector of the society to be involved in the preparation of the bill, then the bill becomes everybody's own. That's what I want to say. So if I can have, after my general observation, I want to appeal to the members, and the good observation the member for Banjul not mentioned, because it's specifically about human rights and disability. So if ABC, because I could remember it was referred to ABC committee, which ABC should consider to give it to committee to a joint committee, because it talks about disability, and we have a committee for disability. Obviously, that committee should be involved. So if the member highlighted that his committee is not being consulted, I want to propose to the plenary, let us suspend, let us not approve this report, let them go and do all the processes and bring it to us so that the law can be a law for all. And the general observation that I was trying to put up, so that I don't want to be seen as a tool by the executive. Yes, the government is doing good, they bring the disability bill, it has been passed by the National Assembly, but I also have an interest. Where is that bill? Is the government ready to implement that? Those are the general observations that I was trying to make, Honorable Speaker. So on that note, I beg to take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, are you moving a motion or what? Are you moving? No, what I'm thinking aloud now with this proposal, which to me is neither here nor there because you've not made a motion. No, just allow me. If you want the floor, it's given to you all the time, Honorable Member for Busumbala. Every time you need the floor, but somebody interjects, you say no. I mean, it's not right. It's just not right. Let us listen to each other, especially the chair. Thank you. So what I'm thinking of, I have a list of honorable members who want to take the floor. Probably they may equally have important issues, fundamental issues that they will raise. So why don't we allow them? Let's listen to all the issues together. Then at the end of the day, we can even, I'm not saying we do that, but we can even think of suspending the report to take care of the so-called loopholes, if there are any, and then come back. That's all I am saying. It's not for me to decide, but it's just a suggestion after listening to one or two. And I see honorable member veterans now nodding their heads. If that is agreeable, we allow other members to come on board. Let us listen to everybody, and then at the end of the day, we will suspend the response from the table, the vice chair, and then maybe they can do some slight amendments here and there, taking into consideration the provisions of the standing order. We come back. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge. You know, we share our knowledge and information. So if we think that, okay, there was an omission here, okay, something went wrong there, why don't we suspend and do it and come back? That's all I'm saying. But to cut short others.
You don't understand me or you are misquoting me. I didn't say, that's why I didn't pass any motion.
Okay, sorry. In that case,
I am giving my version of the report. So it's left to the plenary. I am saying, my suggestion, that's why I'm not conclusive to say I pass a motion. No. From my own personal perception about the report, I am trying to get the convinced members. At the end of the day, let us give back the report, they do the process and come back. So that's why
I heard you right.
Yes.
I heard you very well. But equally so, what I am saying is before we give it back to the committee, why don't we allow opportunity? We may have more input from other honorable members. Are we agreeable to that? What is the consensus? You want us to close it or you want us to allow others to have a chance? Yes, I think we allow others to have a chance. Yes, thank you very much. Honorable Member for Jara East, but I'm sure Vice Chair and other members of the committee will be taking note. Honorable Sise is there, and Kamara, and all of them.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I'll also join my colleagues to thank the mover of the report of Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters on Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020. Honorable Speaker, I think the mover has done a wonderful job, and I want to thank the mover together with the committee members. Honorable Speaker, the need for human dignity and freedom is universal, and as a result of its universality, it becomes a stand-alone right. Honorable Speaker, if anyone is happy here, I can tell you that I'm happier than that person, for the simple fact that when I was going to school, I worked with the Gambia Association of the Physically Disabled Student Wing, together with Mr. Ibrahim Dibasi. We worked quite assiduously. I can remember we used to have our meetings at New Start Senior Secondary School, where we constructed some ramps. Honorable Speaker, this bill is very important. For far too long, our disabled community have been crying for this bill to be brought here before us. And I think today I can say the die is cast, because we have the bill before us. And I believe fervently that we are going to do justice to this bill, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as it is always echoed by our good friend, nominated member Nde Yasin, if I'm permitted to quote you, I quote, that disability is a package, unquote. Honorable Speaker, this is very, very important, this quote. Today you are able, in the next minute or in the next second, you could be rendered disabled. May God forbid. But there is tendency for this thing to happen. So when you have a bill of this nature, I think all hands will be on deck to make sure we give our blessing to this bill. So based on the importance of the bill, Madam Speaker, I will not belabor too much, because as far as I'm concerned, it's very important. Honorable Speaker, let's move to page 10. Page 10 of the report. You'll agree with me that the mover, member for Willie East, is a very good grammarian by all standards. But when you go to page 10, I think it must have been an oversight. Observation. It reads, the committee observed grammatical errors and absence of subject-verb agreement. We are speaking the same language. Subject-verb agreement, in the absence of subject-verb agreement, grammatical errors is grammatical errors. I think it's an oversight. Then we move to page 12. Page 12, observation. It is observed that committees should be amended to council for the reason that council is more reliable. Now you are in the comparative. You are talking in the comparative degree. So you should have read more reliable, more powerful, and more authoritative. It must be an oversight as well. We move to the last page. At the bottom, the third one, where we have, on this note, Honorable Speaker, the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee hereby present its reports of its, I think it is a typo, it should have read, committee hereby presents its reports and findings on the Persons with Disabilities Bill. Honorable Speaker, these are minor oversights.
Point of order. Honorable Speaker. Yes.
The relevant
Section 27, Clause 27, Section 2, Section 3, rather. It reads, Honorable Speaker, yes, a nominated member shall be referred to by name. The member who is speaking currently, I once told him in this parliament that
We are calling nominated members honorable members because of the office that they occupy. He said no. He called this relevant session that the speaker in question should be called Madam Speaker. And he is now saying Honorable Speaker.
I like that on a lighter note. You're done.
Honorable Speaker, let me thank member for lower body for that beautiful reminder. It was my humble self who made that here, Honorable Speaker. But honestly speaking, I was not supported. It's true, thank you. Okay. Madam, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, excuse me. Okay, page 18. Page 18, yes, of the report, where you have recommendations. It is recommended that Schedule 3 and 4 be attached to complement Section 16.2 and that Section 16.1 be substituted with the proposal of the committee below. 1, there shall be a committee in every village. And other one, I have seen that committees should be substituted for council because council is more powerful. So I want clarification. And if you go to Honorable Speaker, introduction. These are typos. My brother from Muli knows this more than I do. The Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee has devoted significant attention. It should have been significant, as opposed to significance, attention to the bill because of its relevance and necessity. I think this does it for the corrections on my side, Madam Speaker. And without much ado, I want to thank the committee profusely for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And I equally want to join my colleagues to thank the Standing Committee on Human Rights for at least bringing something before us. Because many a times, as representatives of the people, we are approached by this group of society, that is the persons with disability, asking us, where is our bill, where is our bill, what stage it is, and so on. These are questions that they always keep on asking us, and then we keep on providing answers to the best of our abilities. But today, thank God that the committee have at least brought something, though I have my reservations, as my previous colleagues have also said. Looking at the report and also making reference to the standing orders, I think it could have been done better to make sure that what transpired actually during the proceedings of the committees is reported here, like we learn from other committees, because this is not the first time we are receiving reports on bills from committees. And I think that's just a point that the Honorable Vice Chair, the mover of the motion, need to set more light on, and then probably we all learn from that and move ahead. And the other thing is, if I can remember very well, the first time this bill was referred to the Standing Committee on Human Rights from the ABC, and the motion was moved here and then approved accordingly. But subsequently, when this committee stage of the bill was being extended to the next session, that was sometimes last year, it was proposed that we include the Health Committee, because this bill, since we came to Parliament in 2017, I can remember we had a series of engagement with this group of society, us, the Health Committee. I'm a member of the Health Committee, and since the first draft was being drafted and subsequently been reviewed, we've had a series of engagement with them, and it all came from the Parliament here. And I think it is important, if the bill is finally drafted, table before us here to at least include the health committee as the proceedings might demand, because we had insight of actually what is in this bill since inception. I think that's what necessitated the ABC to resort to another motion to include the health committee. But unfortunately, I asked the chair, he said he have never been consulted, and as a member of the committee, probably I might have missed 1 or 2 meetings. That's why I asked him, but he said they have never been consulted. So I think that is an issue that we need to take up and resolve. But definitely, on my own personal note, I think this is long overdue. This bill has taken so many times now, and I think we need to expedite whatever process that we need to do to make sure that we do the things right and accordingly, and give these people back their bill, and make sure that we do all the processes, definitely do away with it, but accordingly. Honorable Speaker, I think that's what I have, because the other things, I think, like I said in the report, it could have been done better, but I just wish to thank the committee and also let them take note of these recommendations from members, and we see what we can do, and we do it right and accordingly. Thank you very much.
Very much, much appreciated. Fonyi Brefet, thank you. Berefet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I depart, please seize this opportunity to thank the committee for laying before us a report of a much talked about bill. Madam Speaker, mine is that of a clarification. I want the mover to do 1 or 2 clarifications for me. Reference to page 18 under the recommendation. And I read, there shall be a committee in every, and the list goes on. Village, ward, district, area council, region, municipality, and city council. I want to know the rationale. Passport, I'm not privy to schedule 3 and 4 on page 17. But the question, if you want to institute a committee in each region and in each area council, for example, let's take BAC for example. Vicam Area Council represent a region. Kerawan Area Council the same, and the City Council also. So I you say that the council, the composition of the committee at the City Council, area or municipal council shall comprise of only members of the council. And the regional committee would comprise people coming out of the area council or municipalities. But what I'm trying to run after is duplication of efforts. The more committees you constitute, the more challenges you have in terms of coordination. So that is my worry. And that if we have checked at the rationale behind the formation of all these committees, perhaps we'll have loved to reduce them to enhance coordination. But besides us, I'm quite happy with the rest of the recommendations made. What with the issue at hand, the member for Banjul has indicated procedural errors. If we have agreed that we have made procedural error, it's important that we reflect on that. Because where I'm coming from is, if at the end of the day we feel that we need to refer the committee back, so the report back to the committee to do the necessary as per the dictates of the standing orders. When the report is represented, are we going to continue the debate? So for me, to save time, I would recommend we make a decision whether, despite all the procedural errors that were indicated, if we agree we have made such errors, what do we do? Do we ignore them and proceed? If, in my opinion, we made procedural errors, I think we need to halt, to rectify that and then get the way forward. Other than that, if we proceed and we decide not to proceed, if the report is represented, are we going to exempt the further scrutiny of the bill? This is the observation I want to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know. My mind is working very fast and I cannot recollect everything. But I remember instances when reports were tabled, and please correct me if I am wrong. They were adopted but subject to annexes, addendum sort of the omissions that were contained in those reports were subsequently added. So, as I said, I'm just thinking fast. I cannot remember. Maybe you can help me on that so that we'll answer the question raised by Fonyi Brefet. Wuli East, can you? No, not West. Wuli West, I see you nodding your head. You just refresh our minds on that. Thank you.
Yeah. What we are saying is possible, and it has happened before. But what we can do is, for me, we can continue with the debate, because some minds are already made up about what has been presented. To stop them from expressing themselves is like you are doing some harm. I think we should continue to debate, and then with the proviso that if we find the need to suspend it and refer it still for them to work with health committee, fine. But it is possible.
You say now to the omissions, especially, I have read it once, twice, the inclusion as provided provided for on the clause 69, which says that the list of evidence, the list of witnesses, they're already given. Yeah, but the mic is on. Your mic is no. Can we have one meeting, please? Serekunda and Wuli West. Yes, thank you. If you look at 69(4), the report shall list the witnesses which it has done, that is the witnesses called to give evidence on the bill, summarize the written evidence received, the oral evidence taken, and the committee's deliberations thereon. Probably that is something that is fundamentally missing in the report. I stand to be corrected by the Vice, and who will consult with his secretariat. But I think that is also missing. But I must also admit that maybe other honorable members were not there, and rightly so, but of course consultations were wildly had. And evidence was taken, deliberations were recorded, but probably what is missing, as rightly said, is that it is not indicated that, we consulted the group, that is the Disability Federation, on clause A and B, and this is what they said, and this is what we agreed on. So the final proposal is for A, B, and C to be amended, A, B, and C to form part of the bill. That's where I'm saying that probably those are what is the issues missing. So now how can we try to resolve that in terms of bringing it up on board so that honorable members can also have a share of it? Who said what and what was agreed on? Yes, Honorable Serekunda, and then...
Well, I think two issues are raised which should not really interrupt the debate, as the member for Woolly West has said. They could be raised in the form of a motion, then it will be a subject of a debate. But as Speaker, you want to be very clear on what you are doing, and I think we as an assembly must assist you to be able to do that. The point that is raised is one of procedure in terms of who is responsible for the bill. So if it's a joint committee, of course, Standing Order 99 is saying what should happen with reports before us.
Honorable, sorry. The issue of the joint committee, I have assigned the table office to check with Hansard, so that we will confirm that it was referred to a joint committee.
Yes,
so at this point in time, I cannot categorically say that that was the case.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that I'm just charting a path for the discourse. That Standing Order 99 is saying a committee shall adopt its report in a meeting attended by a majority of its members before it is tabled at the Assembly. So that is the essence of what we are here for. So if the health is saying they should have been, so we're talking about joint reports or joint teams and joint presentation, joint adoption before coming, that's another element. If it was just for the human rights, well, we are having what is essentially adopted by them and brought to us as a report. We should, whether it's adequate or inadequate, is immaterial, because at the end of the day, we can make the necessary recommendation that we adopt with whatever amendments will ultimately be made. It's a report. A report is a report, and the adequacy or inadequacy does not make it less of a report. We, by motion, can make a recommendation for suspension, for doing whatever, in order to update it as per the decision of the Assembly. Essentially, we should proceed because we have not done the investigation that you've said in terms of the joint committee. So we should proceed, and maybe before the end of the debate, we may get some information about that. If we don't, a motion can come from the members that we suspend, and that also can be debated.
That was exactly my position. But then, of course, I cannot impose, especially moving a motion, it has to come from A, B, and C. But maybe at the end of the day, after all the interventions, we will also equally allow the vice chair to make some observations. He may be able to to respond, not even may be able. He will then respond. But before the adoption, if there is a motion to suspend or otherwise, so be it. But I would rather we proceed. In that case, Kunda, can you on the report? No, for any benefit, please.
Important observation, Madam Speaker.
Pardon?
Very important observation.
No, you have had your say. I think it's equally important to allow others to have their say. Yes, so please,
Madam, this is an additional observation which I have not said before. All right, what I would like to observe additionally, because you've made a proposal for the necessary information that is missing be attached as annexed. Would this plenary be preview to those annexes? Because a report is based on the information presented to you.
No, a report is a report. I mean, we are not going to... What is contained in the report is there, but the actual essence, the fundamental issue will be when we get down. And the drafters will be here. I don't know, it's for the Honorable... Please, proceed.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The exercise we are involved in has shown that this Assembly has grown, and that it is seeing its role to be the lawmaking body of the land. Despite inadequacies, all those who bring bills here, especially from the executive, must now be convinced that this is not a rubber stamp assembly. We can look at our own inadequacies and try to address them. We cannot be given a responsibility and we falter in discharging it. The bill has intentions that are captured in the report at page 3 in the general observation. It is observed that the committee did consider section 31 of the 1997 Constitution, which reads, "The right of the disabled and handicapped to respect and human dignity shall be recognized by the state and society. The two elements, state and society, government and people. Disabled persons shall be entitled to protection against exploitation and to protection against discrimination, in particular as regards access to health services, education, and employment. That is clearly stipulated in the Constitution. Subsection 3. In any judicial proceedings in which a disabled person is a party, the procedure shall take his or her condition into account. That is the constitutional provision, Honorable Speaker, but that alone does not provide any guarantees. And that is why an enabling act is necessary to ensure that what is constitutionally provided is implemented to address the concerns expressed. And that is why this bill is before us as an act to make provisions for the health care, social support, accessibility, rehabilitation, education and vocational training, communication, employment and work protection and promotion of basic rights for persons with disabilities and for connected matters. That is the bill before us. Honorable Speaker, the report does go into an effort to provide interpretation of certain troubling concepts which ultimately may pose difficulty in implementation of the Act itself. One issue that I would want the committee ultimately to look again, but maybe I would make observation at the consideration stage, is the issue of affirmative action at page 4 of the committee's report. That the committee at page 5, 4 going to 5, it says affirmative action means policies and practices which favor persons with disabilities. The word favor is very abstract and does not really give the meat of a law. So the objective here is that the affirmative action intends to remedy an imbalance and therefore cushion practice and law so that you create equality in protection and receiving services. Somehow, then affirmative action must have that element of remedying past injustice and providing for equality to catch up with what currently exists. So somehow those elements must feature in the interpretation. Honorable Speaker, if we go to page 6 of the report, it talks about disability. And it is essential here for a debate what engaging in. Do we see mental illness as disability, or is there something called illness which is different from disability? If something is not permanent, is curable, requires a different treatment, and does not enable the person to perform like everybody else, should you really classify that as the type of disability we're talking about? So I think we need to interrogate this more in depth. We should not just imitate. I think this is the beauty of what we are doing, that we are adding to a conceptual framework, nationally and internationally, I kept on looking at this issue of mental disability and see whether we are just talking about people with special needs, or does it include people who also have some mental illness. So there we need to look at the issue more comprehensively. And if we're talking about people with special needs, where is the definition? It seems that we have not given any definition to people with special needs. And it is also general when we talk about disability. The classification should be very appropriate based on what is concrete. So somehow we must identify all those people whom we classified to have disability, to be living with disability, so that the definition will be more accurate. I think that's going to be useful. Honourable Speaker, the issue of discrimination is already settled by Section 33, subsection 4 of the Constitution. There is no need to reinvent the definition because it is already constitutionally defined, and it is important just to incorporate that as stipulated in the Constitution. Honourable Speaker, the issue of inclusion again. At page 7, the issue of inclusion means the process whereby people or society value and respect diversity as part of life and thus minimizes barriers. Well, I don't know whether minimize really will lead to inclusion. I think is eradicate the barriers. So we cannot use words that still retains exclusion. So somehow we have to look at the words again. It says eliminates barrier in your recommendation in order to ameliorate persons with disabilities to participate in and contribute to that society. And this is why I said, since it is elimination, then some element of equality must be there to participate in and contribute to society equally like all other persons. Somehow, the inclusion, if you eliminate all the barriers, it should result in some element of equality. And also equality must therefore be defined so that we know what it means, because it is mentioned in the bill itself, but what is it should be properly defined. Honorable Speaker, it also then leads us from the interpretation to the actual provisions that are necessary for the elimination of discrimination against people living with disability. The principles are clearly stated under Clause 4 of the bill, the concepts of non-discrimination, respect for fundamental rights. We talked about equality of opportunity and the accessibility. All these are clearly stipulated there. And in order to make that possible, Honorable Speaker, it goes 5. It talks about page 10 of the bill itself, equality and non-discrimination. So it is that concept of equality that should feature in the interpretation. But if you look at awareness raising, as the committee has recommended, my input there, Honorable Speaker, is that you have awareness raising. It says the advisory committee shall, in collaboration with civil society and all actors, take appropriate measures. Well, where is the advisory committee? It's like a role is being given to something that is yet to exist. So you start with 7, and then 8 continues to give us the establishment, objectives, and functions of the advisory committee for persons with disability. I don't think that would be the best way to order the bill itself. I think this awareness raising must come to be part of the functions of the advisory committee, so we put it forward. Looking at this advisory committee, now council, 8. The committee is right to say that, well, they want it to be stronger. But where does the strength lies? Honorable Speaker, it lies in the functions and the objects. And looking at the objects, you look at it in the bill, promote the implementation and the equalization of opportunities for persons with disability. It is promoting, it's an NGO. So advise on the impact of policies and programs designed for equality and full participation of persons. It becomes a research institution. Advocates for and promote effective. Those are the terminologies. Advises, advocates, etc. I've not seen anywhere ensures. And that's what a committee that has teeth would do. It must ensure something. So don't you think we should move and make it a commission? A commission that can investigate and orders. And of course, the High Court can be appealed. So, because we are going to give a lot of duties and a lot of rights to people living with disability. That is education there, roads there, this there. But at the end, you go to ombudsman, you go to the court, you go to appeal. So what's the use of the advisory committee? So I think we move away from an advisory committee to a commission with certain powers to be able to investigate and give orders for something to be done. And then it's left to the rest to go to the ombudsman and go to the courts, to see whether the commission has said the right thing according to law. Honorable Speaker, I believe that we should move in that direction. There are some things here and there, but that was the key thing that I would want to propose. And when we come to the consideration stage, I would want to also make proposal moving forward on all those elements that are already inherent in the report and the bill. Notwithstanding, we have really moved a step further in terms of putting the statutory provisions that should back the Constitution in order to defend the rights of people living with disabilities, people with different physical features. Because the board we are going to constitute, you've mentioned in many places, I would not want to take your time, but we must bring it into conformity with the Constitution that when it comes to appointment, it is the President under Section 175 who appoints in consultation with the Public Service Commission. What we may add there is a proviso that in carrying out that function, the President will enter into consultation with the organizations of disabled persons. And Honorable Speaker, when we come to composition, we should representatives. We should itemize all those people living in disability, see their institutions, whether educational, etc., or association, and ensure that in the composition of that commission, you have some representation of each of the categories, because that is what will enable the commission to address the concerns of all. But that said, it is for us to see that we are trying our best to add value to what has been brought to us. This is a bill from the executive. And it's a bill where Standing Order 69 says we have power to recommend amendments. So the bill is not ours, per se, but ultimately we are the lawmakers. What we have power to do is to take the bill at the consideration stage, get our committee to recommend amendments, and we support, then we amend the bill. But we, under no circumstances, should delay bills from the executive because we believe that it will not be implemented. That will be, that would not be in our best interest as a lawmaking body. If we think we can do better, let's bring private member bill or committee members bill. But when others bring their bills, we should consider them to the best of our ability, add the value we can, and let the society have that until we can have something better to replace it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In addition, we can even mandate the committee to go back and do summarize the evidence and attach it to the report. Just thinking aloud, but it's not for me. Honorable member for the nominated member, Ndeyasin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. I don't think I have much to say because all what I wanted to say has been highlighted. But only this, that for us, we invited the stakeholders, and all what you are seeing in this report is from the stakeholders. Maybe it's the manner in which things are brought. But all what is being said, the council and you name them, everything that we are putting in this report is from the stakeholders, especially the Federation. We invited, the chairperson from the Federation is from Justice. And then we invited somebody, is it Fatou, Mr. Fatou, from Justice. Maybe somewhere oversided, it did not come to the report. But all what we are saying, I think is better. I want to plea to my colleagues that we adopt this report with amendments and then see how best we can go about it. Because this disability bill has been a long overdue. Since 2010, up to now, we've been coming. It's true, sometimes the standing orders and maybe what has been done sometimes, because if you look at it, the report, we should have really come up and say, this is what the Federation say, and this is what the Ministry of Justice say, by maybe summarizing. But in order not to bore you with a lot of talking, all these things that you are seeing here in this report, most of them, maybe for us what we are doing is, you know, our chairperson and our vice, they all like, how do you call it, quotations, want to bring things that this is how, the English grammar, and you name them. Most of the English grammar maybe is what we did, but most of what you have seen here in this bill, most of it is from the stakeholders. Thank you. And sorry, the other thing is that when this bill comes into act, I think National Assembly, we should try by all means to make sure that people are saying disabilities, our needs are expensive, but there are other needs that are more expensive than the disability bill. Although disability is a package, especially what you need when it comes to visual impairment, we need white canes, we need braille machines, we need note takers, and those things are not available here. So therefore, it has to be expensive. There are other things that are more expensive than when we need the disability appliance. And the disability appliance is what we need to enable us to carry out our daily lives. So thank you.
Thank you. Oposalum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And I would like to thank the committee, but this is what really I was not expecting such a report in terms of who prepared the report. In my humble opinion, Honorable Speaker, I think this should have been prepared by a joint committee, if my memory serves me right, and I need not to belabor on that because you've already given instruction for somebody else to confirm. But I think the importance of the Health Committee in this particular bill, I think, is enormous, because I think they've been talking about this bill for quite a while, and I think it was natural that what the plenary decided, that was actually done. But nonetheless, we can continue the debate so that we can move forward, as the bill has been pushed by Honorable Ndeyasin and her colleagues for quite a while. So, and I think it's okay that we find a way to move on. But I think this should actually have been done by both committees. Now, Honorable Speaker, I think when you look at the report itself, I think they've done justice, going by Standing Order 69, which is really very clear on what they are supposed to do. Because in terms of the report made to the Assembly in paragraph 2, a list of witnesses called to give evidence on the bill. summarize the written evidences received, oral evidences taken, etc., etc. I think that was actually done by the committee. And if you go to B, also tells the record opinion of the committees on each clause and schedule of the bill, together with any amendment recommended thereto, presented in the order in which they stand in the bill. And I think the committee actually, based on this report, they have done exactly what was requested by the standing orders that we have in here. So, and I think they've done, clause by clause, article by article, to ensure that they've given recommendation on everything, and we want to say thank you for that. And again, I think this is the essence of actually referring bills to committees. It actually makes our work easier. Instead of coming here debating, clause by clause, I think the committee actually makes the work very, very easy for us in terms of summarizing really what we needed to do. And then when you come into the committee of the whole house, then we can, from there, we can bring in the changes that we want to make. And I think the committee deserves commendation. Honorable Speaker, the only area also I have which really had a concern, because when I look at the list of the witnesses that were consulted here, I have not seen the Minister of Health itself. I have not seen the Minister of Health. I have not, and they have a big say, because if you look at on the clause 71 here, especially on the regulations, for example, clause 71. The minister may, after consultation with the advisory committee by statutory instrument, make a regulation prescribing B, early detection, intervention, assessment, and treatment of disability. I think this could be the responsibility of the Minister of Health. And when I go through the report here, I have not seen any, except if I miss it, any consultation with the Minister of Health. I have not seen here, except if I miss something here. And I think the Minister of Health should be at the forefront just to ensure early detection of disability and also the treatment of disability, just to ensure that these particular people live a decent life in our society. The other area also I have not seen also, which is the Minister of Basic Education. Now, when you look at special needs in our schools, I think we've been speaking about that for quite a while. And I think there was a need to consult with the Minister of Basic Education about this bill. What exactly do they want to be included in this bill? How are we going to support them as a parliament in terms of providing them the necessary resources to be able to do that? But I have not seen also any consultation with the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, and I think they are also a key stakeholder. Above all, Honorable Speaker, the Agency for Disaster Management. Because we are all aware, when disasters hit, normally it's the people that actually are suffering from disability, they do suffer a lot. And I think it was also important that the committee also consulted with the NDMA, which is the National Disaster Management Agency, to bring their attention on also to get their input about really how they intend to do that. Because if you go to the bill itself, on 68, if I'm not mistaken, clause 68, is talking about protection and safety of persons with disabilities. It says the agency responsible for disaster management shall include persons with disabilities as a target vulnerable group in disaster management planning, activity implementation, and assessment. We need to understand what exactly are they going to do in this kind of situations. And then I think there was a need for the committee to also consult with them so that they can find out exactly what kind of approach are they going to make in terms of regulations or in terms of the actual law itself. What exactly are they going to do? And I think this is something I thought the committee actually missed, and I would recommend that maybe in the future we ensure we categorize important stakeholders, ensure that we consult with them, just to ensure that we have a good feedback from them in order to have a better laws in this country. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I think also there was a need for the National Human Rights Commission also to be contacted. Because when you talk about disability, you are talking about human rights. When you look at Section 31 of the 1997 Constitution, it talks about the rights of the disabled. And again, most of these rights actually is the National Human Rights Commission that actually tend to oversee those areas. And I think there was also a need for the committee to consult with the National Human Rights Commission, at least to get some feedback from them. We can actually, they can actually incorporate into their report to make these laws something better. So overall, I think, personally, in my opinion, I think there are missed opportunities, but we can fix it as a parliament. I think when you come to the committee of the whole house, we can actually improve some of these clauses. We can actually improve some of these things that they are recommending. And I think together as a parliament we can move forward and then ensure we have better laws that would govern and that would guide the disabled community, because they are part of us and they must be dignified in every way possible. And on that note, I want to thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, can you look at your page 2? of the report. Number 16, 16, no, the report. Page 2, the list of witnesses. I've just seen it now. Number 16, National Human Rights Commission, Mansour Jur. Have you seen it? Yes. Thank you. Honorable Member for Jara West. Is it Jara West? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I thank my colleague, the Vice Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, for the report presented today in the morning. Really, we might have reservations, but you've made the work very easy when we come to the final exercise, that is the committee of the whole house. Because normally these are some of the factors that take most of our time, ranging from grammatical errors to spelling errors and other things. But those probably are all taken care of by the committee. For me, we are almost talking about the same thing. Yes, the biggest concern is the health committee should be part of these findings. As far as disability is concerned, you cannot do anything without Ministry of Health, really. But my only concern is on the proposal made by the committee. That's the proposal 8, page 14. That is the advisory the advisory council. That was supposed to be advisory committee, but by the recommendation of the committee is now the advisory council. The composition of the membership. I have seen what was in the bill has been recommended differently by the committee. Because their recommendation by what we have in the bill was ombudsman and other representatives from other institutions. But in your observation, you struck that out for the Ministry of Health. And actually, we now see the implication. Maybe in the entire consultation of the bill, these people were not consulted. And now they are given the responsibility. That's a confusion to me. I want him to make a clarity on that. On what basis did you change these two places or these two representations? And after observation and recommendation that you have made in this bill, did you call back the respective ministries and reconcile these things with them? Because I know that is also a procedure that we use as a committee. After our observations and our recommendations, we call them back and reconcile everything. Probably, you might make a changes at the level of your committee that might have a legal implication. If you don't consult with the ministry again, probably that will be a problem. I'm asking that question from the Vice Chair to make a clarity on that. And the other thing is whether the Ombudsman has another function that is on page 33. Meaning any member of the council that has a complaint or a petition can do it through the court or to Ombudsman. Whether this is the reason why the Ombudsman is not allowed to be a member of the council. This is my doubt. I need a clarity on that. Madam Speaker, this is all what I have for this report, but I also thank the committee. Really, they've done a lot in coming up with all the interpretations and every, grammatic error in the bill. That might take our time during the committee of the whole House. So with that few remark, I thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank the mover of the, or the presenter of the report.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Sami.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters for presenting this bill, which is Persons with Disability Bill 2020. We all know that this is a very important bill because it affects everybody. So something that affects everybody, I think everybody should be on board. Everybody should be consulted. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the witnesses that they have consulted, to me, I don't know whether it's because of resource constraint or what, but their concentration is only on West Coast. It's only on West Coast. Look at the Women Association that they consulted. It's all within West Coast. What about the other regions? Are they not part of Gambia? They also should be consulted, but all in West Coast. And look at LRR, it's only one that I saw, that Lamin Dam, LRR. No URR, no CRR. Why? Is it because of resource or what? Other than that, it's a good report. That's the only observation that I have with the report. Because when you want to find out something that concerns everybody, you should reach to everybody to hear from them. Other than that, it's a good report. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any more observations? Anybody who wants to take the floor? Yes. You see, Ilyasa is always very impatient, extremely impatient. I mean, he did not raise his tag until the tail end. I mean, how can I interrupt somebody who's already on his feet? If he wanted to make a point of order, he could have raised and said point of order or observation. But he just raised his tag, so for me, he just wants to intervene. Just like Honorable Member for Woolly East, he did not raise his tag earlier. Same with Birkama South. I'm not going to stop them. Yes, please.
Yes. I just want to make clarification for the purpose of records. He's talking about West Coast, it's Serekunda, not West Coast. The Sami, he's making a wrong quotation, not West Coast, it's Serekunda.
Only West, thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Essentially, what I want to say has been said by the member for Serekunda, but I want to make certain emphasis. You see, this law that we are about to make, for me, is the most important law that we will ever make. Yes, the Constitution talks about this, it is in the Constitution, but this Constitution has come into force since 1997. What has been done? Absolutely nothing. Which means that for the last 55 years, even though this law exists, certain group of people in our country have been suffering for 55 good years. They have no entitlements. If you come by this road every day, you go to traffic lights, you see a group of people, they are begging. There is no dignity in begging. There is no dignity in charity. live by charity, we see that for the last 55 years, and the law says we are all equal here, we have all the same entitlements. But these ones have been denied for the last 55 years. So this law that we are making is different from all the laws that we are making, which means that it has to be more comprehensive than anything else. For example, there is a need to make an inventory of all those people who matter here. Not only that, but you have to classify them also because they don't have the same needs. And there are fundamental questions that the member for Serekunda has raised. Somebody who has a mental ailment, which is transient, let's say it is curable. Is he a disabled person or is he a sick person? There are certain ailments which they last long, but eventually they are curable. Who are they? Are they sick people or are they disabled people? And you know, if we just make this law and we sit down, the same thing is going to happen. A child in the remotest part of this country who is disabled, how do you know it? The parent is not going to report to you. So therefore, this legislation must create the means to identify all those people and ensure that what is entitled to them is given to them. We should not just make this law must be action-oriented. It must be action-oriented or else we are not making anything good. And that's why certain institutions that must be created to make it enforceable must be given consideration. Madam, this is very important. I think, honorable members, please, we have a big responsibility here and we must ensure from now on, when this one is legit, there is no beggar. Nobody sits in the street to beg. No child goes somewhere to beg. This is what the law wants. The law does not want anybody to have that indignity. That's the indignity people are suffering. And if we don't address that, then we have made no law. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Ileasa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My contribution is going to be very short. It does not mean that I am part of the committee. Remember, when there's a fact, you have to say the fact. This bill has been carrying almost about since 2010, and they're going to make any progress. Despite the fact that the health committee is part of they should be part of in the committee. But when we oversight it, this bill should not be stopped. We have to go with the bill only at the final stage. Thank you.
Any more interventions, honorable members? Any more? We're done. Okay. Sorry. May I now call on the Honorable Vice Chair who tabled the report to respond to the issues raised by Honorable Member for nominated member. You have something to say in addition? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Ma. I want to talk more on this mentally ill and then mental disabilities, because that is why in our federation we have the association, the organization of learning difficulties. And obviously those people, they have mental problems and they are children. So there are some mental ill people who you know that will come back, will be cured, but there are some that you know that it's very difficult for them, because we are debating about it. But if you go to the streets, you see how these mentally ill people are handled. Some are in tanka, and they will be taken out to go back roaming in the streets. So that being the case, if you go to our federation, we have only one type of disabilities that are having one organization or association. But when it comes to mentally, we have the organization of learning difficulties, that is GOLD, and then we have the association of mentally retarded people. So I think these are the issues. That is why we have them. We have two organizations from them. That is the mentally retarded and the organization of learning difficulties, which means to say it is always difficult for them to be brought back. Because if you go to Tanka Tanka, you see how they are. And you go on the streets, you see how they are. We don't have psychiatrists. I think we have only one psychiatrist at the Tanka Tanka when we went to visit them. So these are the issues that we really have to put on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I take it that that's the end of my list of honorable members. So I now call on the Honorable Vice Chair to respond to the issues and any more proposals that you may have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue raised by the member for Kantora is a technical issue, whether we can draft bills in the past tense. I think I will leave that for technical people. But we have technical people within our midst, lawyers, who helped during this scrutiny. And that issue has not been raised, but we will look into that before we go to this consideration stage. Yes, the witnesses we have invited, Banjul North, we have mentioned all of them. These are the witnesses. Yes, I think it's an oversight. The Minister of Justice was also a witness. We met him separately. I think there is an oversight that his name has not been mentioned. But this whole, after we have done all the recommendation, it is sent to the Ministry of Justice to look at it. And he came personally with the recommendations and said they are satisfied. The only one or two areas they were not satisfied, we discussed it. And then we base our recommendation on those areas. But by and large, they have satisfied everything. They are okay with this. In terms of the joint committee, whether it's a joint committee or it's just assigned to the Human Rights Committee, the first time it was assigned to the Human Rights Committee. Then the second time, I got information that it is assigned to the Joint Committee. Okay, but before we actually go into the scrutiny, the first meeting, I took it upon myself and saw the chair of the Health Committee and informed him that the meeting is going to take place, because I was informed by somebody that it's a joint committee. But I don't know what is the procedure of informing a chair of a committee. He said the authorities must inform him, otherwise he will not come. I said, inform your members so that we can meet together and discuss this, since I got information that it's a joint committee. He said no, he would not come because the authorities have not informed him. I thought I was a better placed person to inform him, but then that was not satisfactory to him. For some reason, when I came also, when I come also, I consulted.
Honorable member for Banjul North, please, I'm not going to entertain any dialogue. Let him rest.
When I come also, I consulted the clerks and said, what is the final listing? Some are saying it's joint, some are saying this thing. I could not remember exactly. But they told me that no, it's not a joint committee. It is assigned to the Human Rights Committee. So that's why I rest my case. I've not consulted him since then. That is the reason why we have not continued with them, as far as I know. Yes, I thank the member for Tumanna for the observations. List of witnesses are highlighted, and he thanked them. The member for Busumbala, made an observation to say whether the Minister of Justice was consulted. Yes, they were consulted. And as I said, the Minister himself came and we finalized everything. Every little, even the S, even the small A somewhere, were all looked at with the Minister, and he is satisfied with the recommendations. He only said something that we said we are rushing the bill. No, I've never said we've tried to rush the bill. No, I said we've done everything. We were satisfied with our work, but for some reason, because the minister was indisposed, we don't want to lay the report in the absence of the minister. When it was already assigned that we should come here to lay the report, but when we came, we learned that the minister has already gone to Dhaka. So we agreed among ourselves that we should not lay the report without the minister. It's better the minister be present than do it without him. That was the reason. But I never said we were rushing the bill for the sake of rushing the bill. No. Jara East was talking about the grammar. Well, we work together on the grammar, verb agreements, etc. That's not contentious. But I agree with him when you say more reliable, you should say more powerful also, and more authoritative. I think that would be better English. Now, the issue of substituting committee, I've said in my presentation that wherever you see committee, it should automatically be captured council instead of committee. So there may be a few areas in the report where committee is mentioned, but we actually meant council. Yes, for Fuani Berefet, that's an issue that we all have to decide together. Whether if there is a procedural error, what should we do? That is left to the plenary. Now, his other suggestion was whether area council and region. I believe that is a good observation. That if you want to have it in a region and have it in an area council, maybe it will be duplicated. So I believe we should just take the region instead of the area council. We take region, board, village, etc., etc. I believe that's a good suggestion, but it's left to the other members. Yes, I agree with the member for Serakunda when he talked about troubling words and terminologies. There were many of them. We selected the few that we thought should be in the interpretation section. But if any member feels that you have certain words there that require, that needs to be in the interpretation section, I think during the consideration stage we can come up with those words and simply assert them there. But I think they should make some research to come up with the right definitions of those. Instead of just mentioning that we should put this there, but come up with your definition and we look at it together during the consideration stage. Like affirmative action. We look at affirmative action several times, and we did change something there. But if it is not satisfactory, I think we can still Now, he said mental illness, whether that is a disability. I'm not an expert, but I see that mental illness has been defined in the bill. Mental disability. So it appears that the drafters of this bill consider mental illness to be a disability. And it's a mental disability means a transient or a chronic disability that significantly affects how a person feels, thinks, behaves, and interacts with other people, but also initiates, develops, and sustains mutually satisfying personal relationships. During our interaction, we try to list down all the possible disabilities, but we were advised that this is unending. If you want to list all the disabilities, and even I think it's the United Nations or something, they've mentioned some, but it is ongoing. So we just deal with the ones that are prevalent with us, and we continue to develop on them and increase those ones. Now, in terms of inclusion, when I was presenting, I mentioned that. I said inclusion was a challenge, was a big debate during our interaction. But eventually we come with our definition of what inclusion will entail. But as I said, when we come to consultation stage, we can always consider, we are open for any suggestion. And I also believe that what he's saying, awareness raising, advocating, all those things should come. But we thought that in changing the word, the council or the committee to commission, we tried that until we invited the ministry. But what Busumbala said was that this is the thinking of the government in place, and this is what they want to implement, this is what they want to do. So if we change from committee to commission, it will change the whole format of the draft, and which means that we have to allow them to go and redraft everything and come back. And the Ministry of Justice did not even agree to that. So what they agreed to is that they want a committee, but has compromised to accept advisory council. That they have accepted. But when we want to go to the commission, it will require something else. And the ministry that owned the bill wants to, this is what they want. They want an advisory body, not something that will go to another level, to be an independent body. They are opposed to that. And they, as the honorable nominated member has clarified some of the issues. We have met a lot of people, and we have mentioned them here. And the association, like Sane is saying, I think this women association has linked to disability issues. It's not just an association. It's an association that has linked to disability. That's why they are invited, not because they are from Serapunda, or they are from there. That is the reason. For member for Salum, yes, the Minister of Education was not invited. We did not invite all the ministries. Maybe it's an oversight, but I was thinking that when the bill was being formulated, they might have consulted all those other ministries. We would not finish the work if we want to involve all the ministries and all the departments. But I think that is the reason why we have not called them. Because when we sat down to discuss who and who, those areas did not come to mind. Yes, the member for Jara West also made a very good suggestion. Council changing ombudsman to the Ministry of Health. We see the role of the ombudsman, we look at it, it was a debate. We thought that since it is another body that has their role, if you put them here, it looks like there is going to be a contradiction. So we debated that and accepted that we change it to the ministry. The ministry has something to do, something substantial to do with the disability. So that is why we changed them to the Ministry of Health. But it's not. But also, it is in the bill and in our recommendation that the council can co-opt anybody who they feel is professional to give them the right advice in their meetings. They are free to do that. Yes. I think those are the.
Sami?
Yes.
You capture Sami?
Sami, I've already dealt with the Sami one. Willie West, like I said, mentally challenged is already defined. So whether we are satisfied with the definition or not, we can look at it. Mentally ill persons are considered disabled persons. I think even sick people are considered disabled persons. So we look at it together and see how to. As far as I know, Honorable Speaker, I think these are the issues that were raised, and I thank members for raising all these issues. We are together. Whatever oversight that is done, we can always remedy it at some stage. I think I commend all the members who have taken part in this one. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. At this stage, I don't have a choice except just to follow procedure. and thank everybody and the committee, of course, and put the question on the report. Now, be it, you've taken into consideration everything that has been said, and I hope that you'll, I don't know what we intend to do with the observations, but as rightly stated by honorable members earlier on, this is a report where, I mean, it's meant for our records here. When we go down to committee stage, that's the time we will do A, B, and C. But the question is, be it resolved that this Honorable Assembly do adopt the report of the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters on Persons with Disabilities Bill 2020. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Thank you for supporting our honorable colleague. Now, the next stage, that is the consideration stage of the bill, is scheduled as per the agenda of the session. And I am appealing to the committee to take into consideration the observations, everything, and capture it in the form of an addendum and see, so that they'll be able to make use of it. And on that note, I thank all honorable members for their cooperation in today's sitting, and put the question, be it resolved that this... Please, can we have one can we have one session, please? Sorry.
Yeah. Honorable Speaker, I would like to move a motion for plenary to grant leave the Public Petitions Committee to continue sittings during the session. These are a result of the many pressing issues that is emanating from the petitions before the committee, particularly the Woolly East issue. Any delay to this petition will do more harm than good. Another petition also, Gambian stranded in the United Arab Emirates. This has become a serious issue, and other petitions as well. So we felt any delay to this will cause more harm than do. As a result, we are appealing to this plenary to allow. But we will do it strategically and over the weekends.
Yes, we've got it. I think it appears as if all your committee members, you must have agreed to this. Okay, there's a motion for permission to be granted to the Public Petitions Committee to continue sitting during the session so that they can finish up their work. Any seconder? Yes, Tumani.
Anyway, I'm not a committee member, but I second your motion.
You second the motion. Yes. It has been moved and seconded that the plenary allows the Public Petitions Committee to continue sitting during the plenary. But please, we don't want to lose our quorum because you're sitting. So it should not affect the work of the plenary. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. You can continue sitting, but again, let it not affect the sittings of the plenary, please. Thank you very much. And on that note, I now put the question, be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned till Tuesday, the 15th of June, 2021. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. The Assembly now stands adjourned till Tuesday, the 15th of June. Please, honorable members and strangers, we're not done yet. I think we need to observe the rules and understand them. Yeah. The Assembly now stands adjourned till Tuesday, the 15th of June, 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. Thank you very much for this.
Love like fire,
Wow. Love, love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek. Loo lañ soxlaati rek. Maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la. Fii ngeen di ñëw. Suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal bel laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentey tamit si ay dàlla waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner, Kiwi Eye, the whole range, Lighten Up Gold, Tomatine. I mean, the list can just go on and on and on and on. Lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox. Skincare plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yu picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii. Love like fire. Bring my love like fire.
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyenje.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe.
56 branches mola soto Gambia ja.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo palindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol din fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo nga fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni na lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani na ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service,